Hello, everyone. My name is Iris Douglas, and being here today again is my co-host Eva O'Sullivan. Hello, everybody. Good morning. And we have Ms. Delilah Martinez here. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. I'm excited. You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
You're listening to The Vital Women of Washington Heights.
So welcome to the Vital Women of Washington Heights, living now in Dutchess County. And today's episode, we're going to talk about mental health concerns.
Yes, we are, and I always like to bring in what I call a bochinche, a little Dominican bochinche, just to tie in our Dominican roots, a teaser. And in Dominican Republic, mental health is seen as a very negative connotation. And a lot of people don't seek the resources that they need to treat their mental health issues. And instead, they go to families or friends to seek for advice. And there's very little services provided in Dominican Republic for mental health.
Absolutely. And my experience with mental health, as an elder, is that something that they really didn't want to talk about. If someone was not, feeling good mentally, or maybe talking, or hablando bobería or whatever, they say, whatever. They don't want to talk about it, but we need to talk about mental health because our children, we need to take care of our children. So mental health definitely needs to be top topic. So do you want to introduce Ms. Delilah and say who she is and why you're here, Ms. Delilah?
Well, Delilah Martinez and I, we've known each other for a long time. I can't even put my finger on how many years. We met through an organization that we used to work for. But today, Delilah is and correct me if I'm mistaken, she is the Associate Center Director at the Poughkeepsie Behavioral Health Center that is part of Family Services?
Yes. Yep. Thanks. Yep. So we are partnered with the Family Partnership with Family Services, and we have different locations that provide behavioral health treatment for individual therapy, group therapy, medication management, and I work at the Poughkeepsie site.
And this goes in conjunction with our sponsor, Iris.
Mental Health America of Dutchess County, Andrew O'Grady, he's our sponsor, and we're very grateful because we all need each other right now, so thank you, Andrew, for sponsoring our podcast, because this is how we're able to bring in people like Ms. Delilah Martinez to help us understand how it works and how that system, because I'm very curious on how the workshops or the programs or the media or whatever it is that happens within your organization, because I think that is key, especially now with everything that's going on.
We treat the whole body. So, at the Family Partnership, they have the food pantries, they have the crime victim programs, they also have financial advisors for people in the community, they have programs for individuals who are impoverished, such as WIC, and just helping guide through those difficulties in life. And when you are, looking to find a mental health provider, then we have the behavioral health centers. We have Ulster County, we have the Beacon Center, we have the Eastern Dutchess Clinics and Poughkeepsie, and actually we work closely with Mental Health of America as well. So if there's something that we cannot provide through our agency, we look for outside resources to find other additional group therapies, peer advocates, we use a lot. If there's someone that's struggling in their home and they need to find outside place to stay for respite, we provide those referrals. So we work very closely with the community and help,
How would people refer? Like, how is it when people refer? Do they come into your space? Do they just walk in? I would love to know that, because here at the Hudson Valley Holistic Healing Center, we're also experiencing people that walk in and need help, you know, and we want to be able to send them to places that we know they're gonna help. You know what I'm saying? Because when people need help and then they come here and then I have to refer them to somewhere else, it's uncomfortable. Oh, but they didn't call me back. Oh, but this, you know that gets a little money.
Right.
So I would love to, we'll share more after the podcast, but I just wanted to get to know more about what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for sharing, I really appreciate it, because when I was growing up, we didn't have this.
Mm-hmm.
So now that our community has this, we really need to share that, you know, whoever needs this, needs to find it. So thank you.
And I would say we want to make it as easy as possible, because when you come in to get help, it's not easy. It's not the easiest thing to do. So when you're finally, you know, mentally ready to say, okay, I need to find, you know, someone to help me, for it to be accessible, you know, so that way you can follow through with it. So we're just a phone call away. We actually implemented a new open access system where we're trying to make it more accessible, where you call in for a phone screening, and then you just walk in during our open access hours and you get provided with an appointment and intake that day. So it is first come, first serve, and it is something that we actually just started a couple weeks ago, and so far it's going really well, but we just want to definitely, you know, address those barriers to access for treatment.
What are your open access hours?
So right now, since we're just starting it out, we only have 2 days so far. So Monday it is 9 a.m. to 2, and Wednesday it is 12 to 4.
Well, Delilah, you know, as being Latina, you represent the Latina community. What have you found throughout your career that is the most difficult for a Latin person, no matter where they're from, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Ecuador, to seek support when it comes to their mental health?
Mm-hmm. So seeing this as myself as an individual, you know, as a Latina, but also I started out as a clinician. So in working as a clinician, I mean, I still work as a clinician, but now I've taken on this leadership role. I still have some clients. But seeing this on an individual level and just within the agency, that, you know, there's different things that might keep someone from getting help. So that first, you know, especially how things are going right now, just even being afraid to walk down the street and coming in for help, worrying if they're going to check your legal status or ask for papers, or even just being able to afford the care. So those things, you know, initially just what are the consequences if I ask for help? Mm-hmm. You know, another thing is the stance of, do I talk about my family to a stranger? You know, in our culture, we don't always share. There might be some shame that we feel that we're bringing on our family, that we keep it within our family, we don't tell anybody else. So just, you know, bringing shame to the family name, or opening up about family secrets that we feel that we have. Just also, you know, machismo, feeling like I can't ask for help. And, you know, unfortunately, this field is primarily women. So how comfortable would, you know, a man feel already beginning to say, okay, yes, I need help, I need to address this, but then also being able to open up about that with a female. And, you know, other barriers that come about are just work schedule. You know, if someone is working, you know, all day, all night to provide for their family, are they gonna be able to access the help during the, you know, 9 to 5 hours? So there's different things that already are a barrier before you even, you know, walk through the door.
If someone cannot afford to get help for their mental health issues, do you guys provide like a sliding scale? How can someone financially that doesn't have health insurance afford to get care?
Yeah, so we do not turn anyone away for inability to pay. We will still see them. So of course we still have to figure out a way where we could get some kind of
Compensation.
compensation. But we do provide a sliding scale, and you just have to show proof of income, or if you don't have proof of income, if you can write a letter. Our billing liaison also helps with applying for insurance. I know everyone is not eligible for insurance, but they make it work in one way or another to provide the services.
I like that. I like that opportunity. So what does it look like when someone goes to when they see a clinician? Is it a conversation? Is it mostly a conversation? And then you would refer them to someone else if need be? Is that?
Yeah, so we have a mixed bag of people that we see. So someone might be going there for years and they're already established client for therapy and medication. But if you're a brand new person and you come in, you do your intake. The intake is about an hour long, where you're assessing for, what's going on in your life, how is it impacting your functioning, what are the stressors. So it is a conversation of what brought you here today, and what are you hoping to get out of it. What are your goals for your treatment. And then you have a follow-up appointment where it's your second intake appointment, where you talk about your treatment plan goals more specifically. And you can be seen by a medication provider, and they also do their own assessment. It's pretty similar to the assessment that the clinician does, and seeing if there's medication that you feel that you would need that would help you with your situation to minimize the symptoms, and then you would continue with the individual therapy and the medication management.
So there's a team of people.
Yes.
For that one person, there's a team.
Yes.
That's beautiful. I like that. I like that.
What holistic or evidence-based approaches would you recommend to the Latino community to follow when they think or believe that they have some mental health issues?
I think the most important thing, first of all, is finding a provider that is culturally competent. You want to be able to feel comfortable talking to that person, and that they can, if they can't say, oh, I've walked in your shoes and I know exactly what you're going through, that they can at least empathize and be open to hearing about your culture. Because I think everyone's experience can be different, and that's okay, and you just have to be open-minded about it. And specifically with the Latino community, it's very important to incorporate what we have established as our support system. So if it's family, family is huge in our culture. We can't help Johnny out if he is not including his mom and dad and sisters, and
That's right.
whatever spiritual beliefs that they have, and so incorporating any church support, their spiritual beliefs, and it's not to say that the other person has to have the same beliefs, but you just recognize that this is their protective factor, and just to be open to exploring it more and growing that, and just being aware of the barriers. If we're meeting with someone and they're saying, oh, you have to do A, B, and C, as a therapist, as a professional, giving that advice or intervention, so to speak, then having to be aware that this might not be possible for this person. So just asking them what they can use as a resource, and building upon that, as opposed to saying, this is what I think you should do.
That a lot.
What are the most common mental health issues faced by the Latino community today?
I would say there has been, it's hard to say if it's a spike in numbers or just more people are coming to get help for it. So now we have more data, but there's a lot of depression, a lot of females in particular that are reporting like low self-esteem and just feeling isolated, not having a good support system. A lot of anxiety, especially with COVID and all that it's brought upon us, the different changes, and just worry about everyone's health. And so I would say a lot of depression and anxiety. And I would say that more people are talking more openly about their trauma, which is great because I think, anyone can experience a form of trauma, and it doesn't have to be that they served in the war or have experienced brutal abuse. It can be different. It can be milder forms, but it's significant to that person.
Do you believe, or do you have a theory why more women are suffering from low self-esteem? What are the factors that are contributing to them feeling that they don't have a good image about themselves?
I would say the social media.
It's a big problem.
Social media, yes, because when I was growing up, I would just open up a magazine. And so I would choose to open up a magazine or not. But here, in this day and age, it's just everywhere. You go on social media and it's all over your news feed, just seeing other women or families who are seeming like they're happy or have it all together, or presenting, they're putting their best foot forward. People are not putting.
It's all an illusion.
Yeah. Even when people are posting their rough things, it's still for the likes and the so
Because that makes them feel better.
right, exactly.
So that's a big problem.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much my business. That's pretty much what I see a lot of women who are having self-issue problems, self-esteem problems, because they're not confident. Women in business, women who are entrepreneurs, because they're juggling too many things and they're comparing themselves to someone else. You can't compare yourself to someone that's been in business for 10 years. You can't compare, there's no comparison. And I fall into that trap too, and that's where I kind of reset my mindset. But it's important because that's exactly, you and I are having the same conversation. Women are more depressed these days because of everything they see visual of social Instagram, Facebook, es cierto, my mother used to say, no te compares, do not compare yourself. You're special the way you are. We are all special the way we are, but we get it in our heads.
Right.
We get it in our heads, and that's when we need people like you, clinicians, need to break it down, People like me, healers, so spiritual healers, who say, hey, let's go back and let's just calm yourself down.
Right.
So I love that we're doing the same thing in different ways, but we're there for the community. So.
I believe we all have self-doubt, but being stuck in that space all the time and not getting the support that you need to pull yourself out, really, if you allowed yourself, it can pull you deeper into that hole of that self-doubt, and then the lack of self-esteem starts to grow, and the lack of confidence.
That's just a community, because you and I had a nice conversation when I'm feeling some kind of way, and you say to me, no, la la la, Oriana, la. So it's also support, it's also community, Perhaps maybe that's something that you should look into, building these groups of circles of women that want to have these conversations, because I love that there's a religion part of it, but there's also a part of it where women need women in order to feel cozy and hugging and my God, I feel so good, because that's how we feel, So I would love for that to also happen in your organization, and they can also have that, and I think you'll have more women showing up to things like that.
Like the coffee club, conversation in the living room.
And it doesn't have to be about crystals or sound.
Right.
It could be just about, hey, how are you feeling today? What's going on?
Right.
What's up? You know, what's on your to-do list that you can't get to do? Maybe we can help you with that.
Yeah.
Because support is definitely key.
Yeah, because like you both mentioned, we are, going to have those thoughts. We're only human. We're going to compare ourselves to others, but it's about that recognition of those thoughts and that check-in, either with yourself or your peer that can say,
That's how you prevent it.
Right.
So
Exactly.
this is how I prevent my craziness, because we all have a little craziness inside. I meditate and I pray, I do yoga, I do breath work, I move. I don't stay in my head, because the more you watch TV and you stay in your head, the more that negative energy is gonna flow in you. So that's where you need to let it go.
Yeah.
You see? So moving, dance is really productive.
Yeah, and talking about it reduces
Discussing
the stigma. Oh, okay, she's thinking the same thing I'm thinking. She's going through the same thing I'm going through.
Yeah, because then the collective will know, oh my God, I'm not the only one.
Right.
And people want to feel like they're not the only one, because it's hard to say, hey, I think I'm suffering from a mental illness. I mean, it's hard to say that.
Yeah. And sometimes even just saying it to somebody that you trust is enough. It might not change your situation. You're gonna go back home into your same situation, but but sometimes just even saying it to someone, makes you feel like you're not the only one, and you're gonna be
releasing. Right, you're releasing that. You're saying, oh my God, I finally said it, I admitted it. And that's important for people to admit. So it's important for you to be aware of your mental state. Because what does Andrew O'Grady say? He says, there's no help without mental health. So basically, there's no help without mental health, because how can you stay strong and beautiful and feeling happy if your head is not well?
Right. We all have mental health. It's just about how you maintain it.
Maintain it and navigate it.
Well, I'm a big data person and statistics. As you know, in social work, they feed us data and statistics down our throat.
Yes, that's my favorite.
In school, like you're drinking a glass of water.
You have to look at the stats.
Yes. So, 10% of children between the ages of 3 and 17 are currently diagnosed with having anxiety today. With 9% of boys and 11% of girls being affected. As a mother of 3 girls, what kind of advice or recommendation would you provide our listeners to kind of help our girls and our boys? But it seems like the girls are the ones that are suffering more from anxiety. What can you share with us, how mothers and family members, because it takes a community as well, to help our girls grow healthier?
I think it's really important to have open communication with your children. To have that safe space in your home where you can talk about your feelings. Ask your children how their day was when they come home from school. Teaching them coping skills, practicing those coping skills with them. Because you don't want the first time that they're talking about this is to get to that point of needing, therapy. You want to be able to provide that foundation within your family. So just being able to talk to them openly about, what they're struggling with, through the day. And, as we talked about the social media, just, it's hard to say to just completely cut it out of your life, because that's not realistic in the world that we're living today. But, definitely limiting it and then teaching about it, about how this is not exactly what we are perceiving their life to be, or just teaching about internet safety and how to navigate that. And if there is something that you see that your child needs help with, recognize that, okay, this is not about me. This doesn't mean that I'm a bad mom or a bad dad. It just means that maybe I need some extra support right now, and get your child, the help that they need. It's important to intervene early, with a child so that they can get the support before, it starts impacting different parts of their life.
Thank you, thank you. What other mental health issues do students face today besides anxiety?
Another big one is ADHD. And again, the same as, do we have more people that have ADHD, or just more people that are coming to, report the symptoms that they're experiencing? I think also with the world that we live in today, that everything is very fast-paced, the expectations are very high, that it's hard sometimes to concentrate and not get distracted, and also the things that are in foods, nowadays as well. So just being mindful of that, of course, too. But I think the different things that are in our environment now have increased, ADHD symptoms, sensory, disorders as well.
Well, I was raised by a Dominican mother, and whenever she cooked, she cooked every day, but it was always like a one type of ingredient. It was never like all these pre-packaged foods now that we don't know what is in those type of foods. So when we were growing up, we grew up with, rice and beans and the meats and some vegetables. Not that we ate vegetables all the time, because that's not the Dominican diet. But I believe that years ago we didn't have such a high number of children suffering from ADHD, and part of it is also the diet. The diets that women are ingesting when they're pregnant, and then the type of foods that they're giving their children also, I believe, contributes to those high numbers.
Yeah. And they, the additives that they put so that food lasts longer, because, with just how the economy is today too, they're making things bigger and lasting longer. So, that's not the natural, way. So yeah, there's definitely, that's a whole other.
That's
a whole other podcast.
That's a whole podcast. When you see the moms, do you want to see the children sometimes? Is that something that,
As far as
like, if you see the mom, if you see if the mom is coming and you see her, depressed and stuff, and you ask, how many children do you have? Do you guys ask to see the children as well, maybe as a family? Because I think that's important.
Okay, you mean in therapy, if the mom is coming to therapy depressed, if we ask to see the children?
Yeah.
We do not, but I think that's a good point that you bring up. We're all mandated reporters, so of course if there's something that's going on that we bring up, we see as a concern, but also not letting it get to that point. So if they're, presenting in this way and they're having children, like you said, asking, those are those stressors that we wanted to talk about. And, forget about the interventions that we need to do for therapy at this point. That's the more formal thing, like, are you getting enough sleep? Do you have enough food to eat? Do you have money for, to pay for your rent? So are your basic needs met? Because if they're not, how can then we get to the deeper, mental health issues that we need to? And are you getting a break? What do you do for self-care? So, I would say that we do try our best to dig in deeper into that and, assess for what else is going on.
But that's something that maybe perhaps you should take into consideration, because, I'm just talking from experience, I ask my clients, how are the kids?
Right.
How are the kids? Because if I have a mom that's really depressed and she's going through some emotions, I am asking, how are your children doing? Because I know those kids are feeding off of her.
Right, you want to treat the family.
I want to kind of, because when I see the mom or I see the dad or I see the family, I want to say, okay, so what's going on with the collective in this space?
Right.
Because whatever the mom is happening with the mom is happening with the kiddos. Trust me on that.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked that question. Do you guys see it? You know? And maybe that's something, talk about it. Bring it to the board, whatever. I don't know. You'll figure it out, Delilah. You'll figure out what to do, but just take that as it's a
Well, to Iris is very important because she, she has expressed to me having conversations that her mother suffered from mental illness. So being the witness of the struggles that her mother went through for her is very important to make sure that the children are safe as well when it comes to the mother's mental health issues.
Absolutely. That's when we were going through our process. It wasn't that we were left behind, but we were like, we should have, been looked after as well. Because mom is mom, and whatever she does is the right thing. No matter what she's doing is the right thing. So you're not judging her because you can't, because she's your mom. So if she's not having a good day and she's yelling and screaming or throwing something or, trying to hit you, kids are affected by it. So those are my concerns, big concerns actually. Because I can see that happening again. Our culture, our community is growing, especially Latinos. I see them when I go into the Poughkeepsie schools. I see it. I can see where I can see still where there's some violence. And I see with a mom, I had an interview with a mom. We were doing a report card, but she tried to tell the teacher that she had a restricted, what's it called, order of protection. Order of protection, and the father couldn't pick up the kid. And I'm like, oh my God, is this still happening? Is this still happening? So, it's a big conversation because it affects the children that are growing to be the adults. They're going to be of service, and they're going to be, going to help us, the elders. What are some examples of trauma that a child might go through?
Yeah. So as you said, speaking to the children and how they're doing, right? Because these children are going to grow into the adults that are in our society and our community today. Addressing this early is so important because their brains are still, our brains are always still moldable, but it's such a crucial age to be able to help them when we're seeing this, before it leads to more troubles in their life, and just learning how to cope with life, perhaps in a maladaptive way, because they're not learning that, positive role model from their parents. And trauma is so significant in someone's life, how it impacts their memory, their ability to regulate their emotions. And recognizing it sometimes is hard because we know the child that is the bully, or the child that's acting out in class or stealing, and but sometimes it's when it gets to that point, perhaps it is too far gone, and if we see some signs early on of little things that we could intervene at that point before it starts affecting school and sleep and friendships.
When I used to practice Delilah, my concern was never the child that was angry or the child that was violent. My concern was always the child that was quiet and timid and would isolate. And right away I would focus and would want to create a relationship with that child because I knew that they were going through something. What can you share when people make an observation and think that the quiet and timid child is struggling?
I think when it's outside of their normal, behavior. So if they are just a loner child who likes to keep to themselves, or were they this outgoing child who all of a sudden is, socially withdrawn, to be able to ask them like, hey, how are you doing, and just creating a rapport with them is important as a foundation, so you can get to ask more questions about what might be going on at home. I think also depends on your role. The reporters and the safety of the children comes first. But if we do see something like that, then it is important for us to establish a relationship with that child and really, figure out what's going on, how to best support them.
During COVID,
Mm-hmm.
when everyone was home,
Mm-hmm.
they literally had to stay home together.
Yeah.
No one could go out. How do you think that affected our community?
I'll start with the children, right? That's our thing.
Yeah.
So with the children being at home, when they were going to school, that might have been the only place where they were getting meals to eat, where they were seeing, other people in their life that were positive, that even if they didn't know what was going on at home, just to say like, how are you doing? How's your day? And just to be able to have that separation from home, that break. So, a lot of times school was that safe space for the children. And I'll speak now to the Latino community as well. If there were parents that had to work, that weren't able, that they had to stop working because then the kids were home, during the day, or they were working and had to, it's really hard because you have to be able to provide for your family. Or that were uneducated and they couldn't help, had to figure out technology. How are we going to get on these, what you call it here, the screen? I don't know how to navigate the technology to get, this is how you're going to do school now. And being able to help you with your math and your science. I don't even know how to speak English. How can it help you with your schoolwork? So I think it had a tremendous impact that, unfortunately it is having some long-lasting results because those kids that were in kindergarten, first grade, and it was the most, the foundation of that year, and they didn't have that regular, school year of learning and just being behind, because the next year they go into school, they didn't modify the curriculum, you just dove right in, and the expectations, stayed the same. It's something that has had a huge impact. Yeah.
It's a lot of things when change happens, a lot of changes happen, and that's when mental illness literally creeps up, and those are.
Right. And that's it, the change, the out of the norm, the out of the routine and schedule that we have, something that disrupts, our usual routine of things.
Yes, and I think that's what happened to COVID, because and it was scary too.
Yeah.
I mean, people were masked, you couldn't see their faces, you couldn't get close to them, you gotta be a part of them, away from them. It was just a lot, socially and everything.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe this is a disclaimer. I don't know, but I'm feeling, me as an energetic person, that COVID started a lot of things that now this is why we're having these conversations.
Yeah.
Because mental illness is definitely on the rise during the changes that we've been going through for the last 7 years. So I'm just happy that you're here and that we're having these conversations, because it will be so much easier for me to say, hey, listen, go see Delilah, go here, go to MHA. No, really, because I'm preventative, wellness. When you come to see a practitioner or provider at the wellness center, when you get sound healing, when you get Reiki, we're pretty much a preventative method. We're not the solution, to be honest. You really need people like Mental Health America, Dutchess County. You need people with Delilah's organization that you really need to seek that help.
To do both, because it brings more balance.
Yes.
Like going to seek, the mental health support that you need, whether it is through Family Service or Mental Health America, and then coming here to the Healing Center and practicing sound healing or Reiki, it's going to speed up that healing process a lot more than just, doing one or the other. I mean, of course, it's up to the individual's choice, but I believe it could speed up the process.
Absolutely. For me, I'm just saying I have lived with energy for 12 years now, practicing Reiki, meditation, yoga, and breath work and sound. And I just know how to recalibrate myself. And I don't let the mental illness get in my head because it's like you said earlier, we all have it. We just need to learn to tame it, and not let it happen. Because we don't want that, because we're here to have a calm, collective, and peaceful life. We're not here to be chaotic.
When it does happen,
Yeah. There you go.
that's okay too, because we will, mental health, mental illness, it's like if you have diabetes, right? You have to be able to maintain it, like you said, being able to take your medicine or have your rituals or have your steps to wellness. And you might have a relapse in symptoms, and that's okay too, just recognizing it, getting the help that you need. You don't have to be with someone for it, just get the help that you need and be able to, get back into recovery.
Absolutely. Let me just ask you, this is random, but do you go to places like schools and stuff and maybe talk?
That promotes the services that are provided for the family service.
Yeah, we do have a lot of outreach, and actually someone reached out to me recently for us to go to a school to be able to talk about mental health. But there is still, I would say, some more work that could be done as far as the Latino community and outreaching them. So,
Do you find that that's the flaw in the system, not providing enough support to the Latino community or just to the community in general?
I would say overall a flaw in. I would say both. I would say both because I feel like mental health has come a long way and being open about it and talking about it. But for the Latino community, I think there's still a lot of work that has to be done. And I think perhaps it is just not enough in the role of with authority and power to be able to do that. So I think it's a little bit of both. But
At the Hudson Valley Holistic Healing Center, we have modalities that can help you calm your nervous system and calm, your anxiety. But if you really need someone to help you because you're feeling super anxious or very, very depressed, you need to seek out, Mental Health of America. And, check out family services because the word says it, family services. So mothers, if you're feeling not happy and you wake up every morning and you're feeling a little depressed and more depressed every day, grab your kiddos and go to family services. Go find someone that can help you feel better. Trust me, you can. If you're not feeling right, seek the people you need to seek in order for you to feel better, please. Because you matter. You matter. Your children matter. Your community matters. Your family matters. And that's what I have to say. You have all inside of you. God is always with you.
Delilah, in closing, would you like to add something perhaps that we didn't cover?
I want to add to what you were saying about the moms seeking help or encouraging them to seek help. I think another big piece is worrying about social services involvement, right? So if they go to seek help, well then my children get taken away because they see that I'm an unfit mother. And I think, I would love to say that we have come a long way with that as well, as far as, social welfare and being able to help the parents and not say, okay, well, I'm just going to call, Child Protective Services, but how can I help this family? How can I help them with what they're going through and supporting them? Just being mindful of that. That's possibly another barrier, but just knowing that seeking help is going to have a way to a path to healing and being able to maintain your family and your family system.
And people, don't be afraid to seek help, and don't be prideful of it. Just seek it, because there are people here that are willing to help, and that's what it's all about. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Iris, for your time. Delilah
Thank you.
Martinez, thank you so much for your time. So Delilah is associate, and I have to read her title.
It is quite long. Yes.
The Associate Center Director at the Poughkeepsie Behavioral Health Center, part of Family Services. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to our sponsor.
Yes, MHA of Dutchess County, Andrew O'Grady, thank you so much. As you know, there is no health without mental health, as he says, and I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much. And we're here at the Hudson Valley Holistic Healing Center. If you guys just want to stop by and have a conversation about maybe what you need to, where you need to start, we're more than welcome to welcome you in. My name is Iris Douglas. This is my co-host Yvette O'Sullivan. We are I and we're here keeping an eye to see what we can help you